Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K cable TV box.
Dan Jacobs with Jacobs Law on 303 Law 4040. Just got a great result for a client. Sam had another attorney who couldn't get her more than $20,000, so we took over the case and just settled it for $85,000. Another client, Travis, is like a lot of people. He likes doing business with a handshake in his word, not looking to sue anyone, but when the insurance company was playing hardball and refusing to even pay his medical bills, he called 303 Law 4040 and said, Dan, I hate to bug you, but they just aren't being fair. We took over the case, told the insurance company we would see them at trial, and they immediately more than quadrupled their offer, which was just fine in Travis's book. The insurance companies don't play fair. They aren't going to do the right thing out of the goodness of their hearts, so you don't ever have to feel guilty when calling 303 Law 4040. If you've been injured, we'll make them pay what's fair. And as always, you always talk directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly. So save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. It's 303 Law 4040. That's 303 Law 4040.
Hey, Stokely here, and let me tell you, fall golf is the best golf Colorado has to offer, and it's not too late to get fully dialed in for the last few months of the season. At Embers Golf in Westminster, they're not just selling golf clubs, they're crafting a journey for golf lovers like you. It's a boutique-style shop, family-owned, with 2 hitting bays, all the major brands, and fully upgraded custom shafts. Come in for a full bag fitting. Trust me, there's nothing else like it around. Embers Golf, where your golf journey begins.
Thousands of kids in poverty have waited over a year for a sponsor. End their wait today. Sponsor a child with compassion. Just text radio to 83393.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight. Taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Thursday night in the Mile High City. He's Anilo Pirro. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. Lot to break down as the Avalanche get a big deal done today with Martin Necas. Broncos injury report isn't getting any better, and the Nuggets absolutely embarrassed the Pelicans last night at Ball Arena. We will do all three of them, but we'll start with the Avalanche solving maybe their biggest question, maybe their only question that was left this season, and that was the future of Marty Necas. Well, he got a huge deal this morning, $11.5 million per season over the next 8 years, $60 million plus in a signing bonus up front, and a full no movement clause for the next 7 years. Anilo, obviously, when this news broke today, we were all kind of hoping it would come at one point or another, but we had also all lived through the Mikko Rantanen saga last year that ended in a blindside type trade. How surprised were you, is where I'll begin, that the Avalanche and Necas got something done just 11 games into this season?
Yeah, I think it definitely came as a surprise just because I know you were talking about, what was it, January or end of the year is when you wanted to see an extension get done.
New Year's Eve was kind of my unofficial deadline.
Right, and so I thought that they might wait a little bit just because of how early we are still into the hockey season, but clearly there was mutual interest on both sides. You know, check out the story online, DenverSports.com, about some of the details. We'll break it down for you here on the program tonight as well, but I guess it's a surprise just because you don't really expect contract extensions in the middle, let alone the beginning of the year, as we saw today with Marty Necas. But I also think, Will, it's a massive sigh of relief that the Avalanche finally were able to put pen to paper with Marty Necas. Of course, the comparisons with Mikko Rantanen will be everlasting, but nice to see the Avalanche get a must-need deal done here on October the 30th.
Yeah, you couldn't let this turn into Mikko Rantanen 2.0 because what was the prize you got for Rantanen? Necas, right? And so then if that prize turns around and only plays here for a handful of games last year and then one season this year and then walks out the door this summer in free agency, that's not exactly going to help Chris McFarland's reputation, if you will, around Avalanche fans of like, well, not only is he the guy who traded Mikko, but he couldn't get the contract done with the next guy who's supposed to replace Mikko. Good news is all those questions went out the door about 7 hours ago. News broke right around 11 a.m. this morning. And I think, too, that, you know, with this getting done, the Mikko thing, like it or not, was a distraction when it was going on in November and December and January. And then it became a mega distraction when on a Friday night in Boston they traded him and you had guys like Nathan McKinnon sort of stunned at his locker going, players of that caliber don't get traded. Like, he couldn't even wrap his mind around the fact that the Avs had pulled the trigger on this deal. And I don't think the Natchez thing was a distraction. He's playing good hockey. The team's playing good hockey. They've only lost in regulation once, but I think it could have turned into a distraction. I think if it hadn't gotten done and January rolled around, everyone would have said, well, what happened 12 months ago when one of our best wingers didn't have a new deal done? So I think the Avalanche were kind of steamrolling towards hopefully another Stanley Cup anyways, or at least a deep playoff run. I think they're that motivated. This is their most complete team since they won the Cup in 2022. But now to just eliminate this question, it's a great day for the Avs. That doesn't mean you had to like the Mikko trade or still not like the Mikko trade. But guess what? None of us have a time machine. Mikko's never going to play here ever again. Well, never's a long time, but he's not going to play here the next 7 years, right? You can't go back and change it. So if you're an Avs fan, which I am an Avs fan, I know some people try to paint me as not an Avs fan.
You're an Avs realist, Will.
I'm a realist, and for my favorite hockey team, the Avalanche, today was a very good day. There's no other way to slice it.
Well, that's good to hear coming from you as we know some of the conversation. I know Zach.
No, but that was always my stance is they need to get this extension done. Like, we can sit here and go, oh, man, I wish Mikko was still on the Avs. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
Like, it's done and over with, and I care a lot more about a second parade in the last 5 years than I do about still harping on that, and the best way toward that path to a parade was figuring this out with Natchez.
Yeah, no doubt, and I actually really like the timeline of where Natchez is at, right? A couple of years younger than Mikko Rantanen. Mikko just turned 29 years old. Natchez is still 26, turned 27 here in January, and so, you kind of align him a little bit more with the timeline of that of a Cale Makar than a Nathan MacKinnon, and I just love... No ifs, ands, or buts about it, as you alluded to. The Avalanche had to get this deal done, or else the Mikko Rantanen trade just looks absolutely absurd in hindsight. And you're getting a guy that now is comfortable playing for the Avalanche. Talked about how he was thankful for the patience that the organization had with him with respect to signing this contract extension. And now there's no more looming distractions, right? Natchez is taken care of. Landeskog is back and ready to roll. No more injury stuff. No more goaltending questions. It is a fact of you got to go out there and contend for a Stanley Cup this year because there's no built-in excuses or questions surrounding your team as there have been the last couple of seasons.
And here was Marty Natchez today on what ultimately made him feel comfortable signing here with the Avs.
I feel like coming into this season, having the whole camp, being with the guys, feel like a real player of the Colorado Avalanche, and just I've seen the things we can do on the ice, and I was like, sign me up. So yeah, it's good.
I mean, kind of an interesting answer. I finally feel like a real player of the Colorado Avalanche. I think there is some credence to this guy was kind of stunned. Everyone talked about Mikko's life getting turned upside down. Well, Marty Natchez's life did too. It's not his fault that he got traded out of left field. He probably expected to sign this 8-year deal eventually with the Hurricanes, even though he had only gotten kind of a 2-year gap deal, and I don't think he was thrilled about that. But I get why he needed some time to acclimate to the Avs and make sure he wanted to be here. And there was that report over the summer that he wasn't, quote, overly thrilled with his time in Denver, and he just talked about it there. Now he finally feels like a member of the team. I don't know if that report was 100% accurate, 50% accurate, or what, but it was a report attached to Sportsnet, which is an NHL-type outlet. And the answers I heard from Marty Natchez today, he did need a little bit of time, and I know Zach had an issue with that. I don't think me passing that along should be an issue, but that was another key takeaway from today is now he finally felt like the Avs, so now he was comfortable committing to this organization for a long time.
And I think that's perfectly okay, right? I mean, you got a guy here in Marty Natchez who was traded midseason to a new market, and yes, theoretically, you're playing with Nathan MacKinnon. You got a nice head coach in Jared Bednar. You got Cale Makar, two of the top 3 players in the NHL per ESPN. In theory, and look, I know fans are emotional, right? So the fan probably looks at this trade and is like, we got to get this done because of who we just gave up. But if you put yourself in his shoes, I think it's perfectly okay for him to just take a step back and take some time and think through this decision. And ultimately, the cream rises to the top, right? And I think Marty Natchez, after getting his feet wet and, okay, here's what it's like to play with MacKinnon, and here's what Landeskog's like, and here's what it's like to be a part of this group, felt comfortable signing this extension. You don't want Marty Natchez to rush into a decision, regret it, and then pout halfway through the contract extension or asking for a trade. You want the guy to be 100% committed to the vision and the plan that he's presented with, and it seems like we're there today as he signs his 8-year contract extension.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about the timeline of this deal. Was Marty surprised that it did get done in October?
No, we've been in talks for a little bit, and I knew it's getting close, and yeah, I'm happy that it's done. Now I don't have to worry about that, and just go out there and do my best.
Yeah, I mean, if you're this guy, it's like, okay, I now know where I'm living the next 8 years of my life. And oh, by the way, I'm doing it with $92 million in my pocket. He won't get all 92, but you know what I'm saying of like, he has a girlfriend. He talked about her today. He can move his family here if he wants to. He can go buy a nice house somewhere in Denver that he can turn into a home. I'm sure when he got traded here, he was living out of a hotel, and then he was probably renting an apartment. Like, these are the kind of things that Marty Necas probably now feels like, oh, I can plan my life a little bit. Right. I can plan that I'm going to be with this team for a while. Nathan McKinnon's going to be with this team for a long time. Cale Makar's going to be the next priority. Chris McFarland touched on that briefly today. This feels like if you're him, not only are you rich as heck today, but you have a chance to win multiple championships in your career during the course of this contract. I understand why he's elated, because today was a very good day for Marty Necas.
Yeah, no doubt. And from the Avalanche's perspective, right, like you've just got another rock-solid player. Now, we want to see the power play improve, and he's obviously a big part of that component. And I think a lot of people look to Mikko Rantanen and what he did in the playoffs in those handful of games where he just lit the world on fire. So I think, look, the Avalanche are already a great regular season team. And much like the Denver Nuggets, who are also a great regular season team, you and I and the people that work at this station, like, we expect them to be a top half team in the NHL, in the NBA, respectively. It's a matter of, can you get over that hump, specifically for the Avalanche the last handful of years in the second round, and Marty Necas is a big part of that. I mean, you're looking at a guy that already has 7 goals this season, top 20 in the league in that department, you know, top 20 as well in points this season for in the NHL as well. So you've got a quality guy that in theory should only get better and better and better with the more reps he gets with this team, and that's part of the reason why I think you've seen the Avalanche play the way they have this season.
Yeah, and one more quote you didn't hear from Necas, but I'll just read it to you. He said, "I'm glad management gave me some time to figure it out, for me to decide where I want to basically spend the next 8 years of my life. Not just me, but my family as well, and I am super happy." I actually think that sort of strongly reinforces that maybe he wasn't perfectly thrilled with his first few months as an Avalanche, and then this summer he gets to spend an offseason with his teammates. We saw all the social media videos of the guys all hanging out with significant others, that kind of stuff. And then, oh, by the way, he's on a tear to start the year. The only guys he's trailing in points on the team are McKinnon and Makar, 2 absolute superstars. I think Marty probably woke up in the last week or two and said, I'm ready to do this thing. I'm ready to do this thing. And again, the key part of the quote, where I want to basically spend the next 8 years of my life, I'm glad management gave me some time. So for anyone saying, oh, he just loved it here from the jump, I don't think he did. But I think now he loves it from the jump, and he was more than happy to be an Avalanche for the entire prime of his career.
Yeah, and I think it's good on both sides here, right? Because you kind of saw the other side of the coin. Now, the Avalanche, I think, from what we've gathered, were very patient with Mikko Rantanen, right? But it got to a point where they were like, enough's enough. Like, this guy ain't signing for what we want him to sign for. Let's flip him. And then it's like you get the opposite.
Two sides to that story, to
right,
be fair.
Two sides, right? But, like, point being, like, the Avalanche clearly at some point, after negotiation after negotiation after negotiation, lost their patience or just felt like they were never going to reach a deal, so they ended up making that move. Versus on this instance, maybe it's because of the weight of the moment and knowing what you got Necas for. Nice to see the patience and maybe not the same dropping of the hammer potentially that we've seen in the past.
All right, here was Chris McFarland on how it feels to get this deal done today.
Really nice. Yeah. It's always good when you can get them done as quick as possible, right? It just takes all the conjecture out of it and just lets you focus on the ice and then, you know, sort of what your needs are and things of that sort. But they're not easy deals to do. But it's a good day.
It is a good day, and I think it's a good day for Chris McFarland and Elo, because I touched on it briefly, but he was the GM that ultimately made the Mikko Rantanen trade, a top 10 player in franchise history, a trade that several NHL insiders have called the biggest in the league in the last 20 years. And the guy he acquired for him will now be an Avalanche for a long time. And yeah, Mikko won round 1. He just did. He scored a hat trick in Game 7 to eliminate the Avs from the playoffs. But that's what's nice about this deal is it's kind of like a boxing match, right? Mm-hmm. Mikko got round 1, but guess what? The Avs are going to go punch back in round 2. And then there's going to be a round 3, a round 4, a round 5, a round 6. Like, as we sit here today, the Avalanche lost the Mikko Rantanen trade. He ended their season. But by getting this deal done with Marty Necas, they did ensure the fight's going to go 7-8 rounds, and it's not just going to be a KO punch because he leaves this summer in free agency. I think Chris McFarland he never said the word today, but I think the tone was he was relieved to be answering questions from the media about all good news, and good news that he, along with the Kroenke Sports ownership, helped accomplish.
Right, and he's obviously a key member of this Avalanche core, and I talked about it a little bit earlier in the segment about I like where this deal lines up for the Avalanche because of his age compared to that of Mikko, but if we're looking at it in a short-term landscape here, I mean, the next 3 years, you're looking at championship or bust mentality from this Avalanche team because now you've got Natchez under contract, McKinnon, Landeskog, Nichushkin, Devon Taves as well, Brock Nelson, and Mackenzie Blackwood, so there is your core nucleus for the Avalanche for the next 3 seasons where you can sit back and say, okay, we've got goaltending figured out. We've got our top line figured out. We've got one of the best players in the world in Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar as well. It's time for the Avalanche to stop worrying about the outside noise and focus on winning a Stanley Cup, which they're in a position to do.
Yeah, and the management has put them in a position to do that, especially by getting this done today. And I did mention it that McFarland hinted at, Makar's coming next, and he has to come next because he's maybe the best defenseman to ever play the game. You got to make sure he plays his whole career in Colorado. I mean, the numbers back it up. You know, Orr and Coffey are probably above him right now just based on longevity, but Makar is trending to be the best defenseman to ever play this game. And I do want to remind people he's not a free agent next summer. We don't have to worry about it, but it's the following summer. And you don't let a guy like Cale Makar go into the last year of his deal. You got to find a way, hopefully after a parade, right? Hopefully after a parade in late June, to extend Cale Makar for 6, 7, 8 more years in an Avalanche uniform, and not that absolutely cannot bleed into October. That needs to get done in the month of July.
And I think it will. I don't think anybody, you correct me if you feel differently, that seems like it'll be a mere formality with Cale Makar. Like, it seems like the Avalanche are very much aware what Cale Makar means to this organization, what he means to the NHL as a whole, and just to your point on the trajectory that he's on, I have the same qualms and worries that we had about a Marty Natchez discussion or that of Mikko Rantanen, I don't think will be the same when it's Cale Makar's time.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to hear from Jared Bednar real quick on this too. We're going to get to Broncos. We're with you another 10 minutes or so before our first break, but here was head coach Jared Bednar on the relief of getting this deal done.
I like the fact that it's getting done now. There's no question. I think it's just something else off the table that we can just keep concentrating on hockey, and probably more so for like Marty than me, players have things going on in their lives and that can be, distracting at times. It's, they're people like anybody else. There's lots going on, and I think just one thing that if it was weighing on him at all, it certainly hasn't showed on the ice, but you certainly don't want it to get it to that point. So he wanted to stay. We wanted to have him, and I'm really glad we were able to get it done.
And I like that answer from Jared of like, hey, this wasn't affecting him, but also he's human too, and we never wanted it to get to the point where it was affecting his play, affecting our team, that kind of stuff. The 6711 shouting out all the hockey talk. You're welcome. It was a big deal for hockey in this town today, so we were happy to chat about it. And then the 8728 and the 8928, not very kind to me. It's crazy your numbers are only one apart, but I'm going to let
that is crazy. Wow.
Lie. All right, let's get to this Broncos injury report, Anilo, because it's not getting any better, that's for sure. Unfortunately, no of the same 3 guys at practice today. Pat Surtain, the headline, not a surprise. We knew he wasn't going to play. We were actually all relieved he wasn't on IR. But the one I've got my eye on is not Nate Atkins. I wish him the best coming back here soon, but it's Marvin Mims Jr. with this concussion. He's a DNP for a second day in a row. Yes, guys can clear concussion protocol on a Friday, don't get me wrong. But that Mims took that big hit against the Cowboys, but it wasn't like there was some big stoppage in the game and there was a card out or anything like that. But in hindsight, he definitely got concussed. I thought Drew Spivak put it best of like, if that was college football, it would have been targeting. Guy probably would have been thrown out of the game. I think Mims being hurt is a sneaky big injury, not only in the special teams game, but as he started to accelerate as a wide receiver too against the stingy Houston defense. I wouldn't say this was on a lot of Broncos fans' radars 48 hours ago, but I think as we get close to the game and no PS2 is not going to play, that Mims is going to be the one to watch. Yes, we all wish the best corner in the NFL was out there, but I'm not expecting Marvin Mims Jr. to play against the Texans on Sunday.
Yeah, and that'd be a major blow. I mean, Marvin Mims has been one of your top 3 skill position players, right? Like, obviously, you got Cortland Sutton, who's the safety blanket for Bo Nix. Marvin Mims has been dynamic for this Broncos team on special teams and in the passing/running game. And then you got J.K. Dobbins, who's been one of the better running backs in the NFL so far this season. And so, if Marvin Mims does miss this game on Sunday against the Texans, obviously it's not a good thing, but I'm still waiting to see a little bit more from this offense with respect to the other guys. Like you saw Troy Franklin kind of break out last week against Dallas with the 2 touchdowns. RJ Harvey, welcome to the show with the 3 touchdowns in one game. But the guy that you and I spent like all offseason talking about is Evan Ingram. And I feel like we have yet to see Evan Ingram be completely unleashed in this Sean Payton offense. So like, obviously, you want Marvin Mims out there, but if he's not out there, in theory, that's more opportunities, more catches for Evan Ingram. Another guy that we heard a lot about in the offseason was Pat Bryant. I get he's a rookie, but where's he been? So it might force Sean Payton's hand a little bit to run a couple less jet sweeps to Marvin Mims and open up the playbook a little bit for some other guys.
Yeah, and it was good to see Pat Bryant get his first touchdown last week. There's no doubt about it, but yeah, the guy's got 7 catches for 86 yards. It's not like his rookie year has lit the world on fire by any stretch. Ingram started to feel like he's getting more involved, but man, Mims not playing. I just love what Mims can do. I think Franklin is too much of a roller coaster for me to truly call him the number 2 receiver on this team, and I would feel comfortable calling Mims the number 2 receiver. So you look at it, Broncos are going to be without their star corner. We almost know that for 100% fact. Broncos are likely going to be without their number 2 receiver. That's trending more and more in that direction. And oh, by the way, what happened today in Houston? Nico Collins cleared the concussion protocol after missing last week, and he's going to go up most likely against Riley Moss. And
you love Riley Moss, Will.
He's a nice enough guy. I don't love him as a football player. He doesn't pass the eye test for me. But let's just say things aren't trending particularly well for the Broncos. Surtain, Mims likely down, Collins up. The injury pendulum is definitely swinging Houston's way in this matchup.
Right, and on top of that, you're looking at a Houston Texans defense that's been one of the best units in the NFL, right? And Bo Nix, obviously great against the Dallas Cowboys, but outside of that, it's been a bit of a mixed bag from Bo throughout the course of the season. Going on the road right after a couple of consecutive home games. I'm not saying this is a trap game necessarily by any stretch, because I have a lot of respect for Houston. I just don't think they'd be the first to tell you they haven't lived up to the expectations they have for themselves. Quality team, CJ Stroud, a quality quarterback, but it's going to be a real test for the Broncos. Test that depth, test Bo Nix a little bit, and let's see what they can do without the reigning defending defensive player of the year and one of their most dynamic offensive players potentially in Marvin Mims.
And it's funny, too, because here's the thing. We're all going to focus on, Mims can't go. Broncos down their number 2 receiver. Well, if they just run the football, maybe this wouldn't be as big of a talking point. But the problem is somehow the Broncos have the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL, and I would say, 90% of the fan base thinks they still don't run the ball enough. Maybe this is the type of game, and I know it's going to sound like a big number, and people are going to tell me it's never going to happen. It probably is never going to happen, but I'll just throw it out there. I'd like to see J.K. Dobbins get 25 carries on Sunday, something that large, and just, you know what, if the clock runs quickly and the game's over by 1:30 and you leave Houston with a 20-14 win, great.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I think J.K. Dobbins has also earned the right to pound the rock a little bit more. And it's I don't have the numbers in front of me to back this up, but I've been at every single Broncos home game covering it for us here at Denver Sports. Check out the website, of course, social media as well. When they commit to the run, it just feels like a weight is lifted off of Bo Nix's shoulders. And obviously, he's been good in tempo. I know Sean hates that topic as well. But it just feels like the running back, and this isn't brain science here or rocket science, like the running game is the quarterback's best friend in the passing game because you're able to kind of divvy it up with the run and the pass attack. And to your point, J.K. Dobbins, the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL, he should be rewarded for that. You should lean into that a little bit more. Now, it's one thing if this is Bo Nix in year 8, year 9, right, and he's got full confidence and we've seen the full spectrum of his performance, but Bo Nix is still a young, developing NFL quarterback as we are currently constructed and sitting here today. So, yeah, I do think they should pound the rock a little bit more. And maybe not even just J.K. Dobbins. I mean, RJ Harvey was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal in that game against the Cowboys.
3 tutties.
I just think and I'm not as smart as Sean Payton, but it just seems logical to keep running the ball to set up the play action game for Bo and Co.
Yeah, and J.K. Dobbins, I know he is generating some chatter this afternoon because he met with the media and spoke about how an extension is not on his mind. But I think an extension should be on his mind. I mean, this guy's been great. And yes, he's handsomely compensated for playing football in terms of we'd all love to make $2.5 million to play a game. But he's not properly compensated for what the going rate is for a top 3 running back in the NFL. I was curious your thoughts on that. If I'm the Broncos, and I pounded the table a couple weeks ago for that, I've seen enough. J.K. Dobbins should get a new contract. J.K. Dobbins said today he wants to finish his career in Denver. I would 100% pay this guy, and he wouldn't have to break the bank. First of all, it's not our money. It's the ownership's $68 billion or whatever their current number is. And second of all, we're not talking about a 3-year, $30 million extension. You could probably lock J.K. Dobbins in with a 2-year, $10 million extension. Give him double his money next year and double the following year. I think he would run to sign that thing given his injury history, and I think the Broncos would be smart to get out in front of it, Anila.
I don't know if they can get him for that cheap. But if you're
look what he's making this year.
No, I know, and all that's relative. But I'm looking at running back salaries in the NFL right now. Like, you could draw the line at like a James Cook who's making 11.5. We're not going to get close to that. Kyron Williams at 11. But a guy like Tony Pollard, who I just had in front of me, I believe is making close to 9, or he's making 7.25. So that's a couple million more. J.K. Dobbins is probably sitting back. Pollard's making this. I need to make more than that. So yeah, I agree with you. The only concern that I would have in giving Dobbins an extension right now is this could be the peak of his market. Like, this is a guy that has never got through a full NFL season, has plenty of injuries. Like, it feels like to a certain extent, and obviously I wish no ill will on J.K. Dobbins, probably the best player to talk to in that locker room. But you also have to be aware of the fact that, an injury could pop up. And he is playing this well right now. What happens when the going gets tough? I just wonder if you do it now because it's the peak of the market. But if it's a friendly win-win type of deal, then I think you take a look.
Yeah, but also aren't you just gambling either way? Because if you don't extend the guy, he does stay healthy. Yeah. He helps you run on a deep AFC playoff run. He helps you get to a Super Bowl. Then you're right. He's going to be asking for James Cook and Kyron Williams type money. I think you could get him for half that if you just did it now. And people are going to say, well, he might get hurt. Well, guess what? If he gets hurt, you're not giving like Nick Bonito, Cortland Sutton, Zach Allen type money. We're talking about 1/10 of those type of contracts.
Right.
It's a lot of money in the real world. It's not a lot of money in the NFL.
Well, and as you're talking, it makes a lot of sense, actually, in theory, to give J.K. the contract now because you could still pay that off while Bo's on his rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think that's the
big
have
point. Them align. I like it.
Right. And so you get away with it of like, okay, maybe we overpay slightly for J.K. in this 2-year window, but that means when that contract's up, we're going to have to pay Bo anyway. But I guess the other side of that coin is you got J.K. Dobbins off the street in the middle of training camp. Can you find another diamond in the rough like you did J.K. Dobbins? Dallas with Javonte Williams. We've seen a handful of these different guys that sign these 1-year deals and pop off. Do the Broncos and Sean Payton think they could replicate that next offseason?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dobbins, all the numbers.
R.J. Harvey belief.
I know, but all the numbers with Dobbins said he was elite when he was healthy. Right. And Sean is famous or infamous for thinking he can keep guys healthy with his training staff better than anyone else in the NFL. And I don't have any wood around me, but believe me, we are knocking on all the wood that J.K. Dobbins stays healthy. It's like ceramic, maybe. 2 other news and notes from today, just quick reactions from you. R.J. Harvey, NFL Rookie of the Week. We talked about his 3 touchdowns. And then Will Lutz, AFC Special Teams Player of the Month. Actually a good rebound for Lutz because he did miss a huge kick against the Colts. He made some really big kicks during the course of October.
Yeah, and Andrew Mason, I think he's going to write the story for DenverSports.com. We were able to chat with Will Lutz today in the locker room. Towards the end of the scrum, he asks, I forget how he worded it, but, prior to Will Lutz, Sean Payton had like a new kicker in New Orleans like every single year. Right, and Will Lutz is like the first guy that's stuck with Sean Payton. Like, that is Sean Payton's guy. Obviously traded for him here in Denver. And clearly that dynamic is working out really well because you saw it kind of go through like a turnstile of kickers with the New Orleans Saints. And so good for Will Lutz, man. You mentioned, the blunder there in the game against the Colts, and he's been really solid for this Broncos team moving forward. I mean, you've seen a handful of different kickers throughout the course of this season and previous years. Like, you need that kicking game, man. And the fact, look, Will Lutz is not Brandon Aubrey, but he's consistent. He's a steady Eddie, and that's big for the Broncos.
Yeah, and he made a huge kick against the Jets in London, a deep one early, and then he made the one to put him up 13-11 late. And then obviously he absolutely had to make the kick against the Giants to complete the comeback, and he's able to put that one right down the center, right through the middle. All right, coming up next, the Nuggets absolutely slaughtered the New Orleans Pelicans at Ball Arena last night. What is the win ceiling for this team in 2025-26? Nilo and I will dive into it.
Did the blowout win over the Cowboys show what the Broncos offense is truly capable of?
This is what it looks like when Sean Payton is able to open up his playbook and push the ball down the field. This is what it looks like when Bo Nix gets into some type of rhythm. You can't hide this anymore. Bo needs to either succeed or fail, and Sean needs to let him do that.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Fall weather is on the way. Are you and your vehicle ready? At Castle Rock Chevy GMC, we've got you covered with certified service. Right now, when you purchase an oil change, tire rotation, cabin air filter, and engine air filter, we'll throw in a set of free wiper blades because clear vision on the road is priceless when the weather turns. Don't wait until the first storm hits. Swing by Castle Rock Chevy GMC today and keep your ride running smooth all season long. Castle Rock Chevy GMC, where hometown service meets unbeatable value. Castle Rock Chevy GMC.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Colorado can count on.
Wow, Leslie, your fireplace really sucks.
I beg your pardon?
Well, what I mean is your fireplace is literally sucking all the air out of your house and right up the chimney every time you burn it.
Well, what can I do about it?
Well, you could get a high-efficiency gas insert from Cozy Heat. It keeps all the air you already paid the utility company to heat, and it returns up to 80% of the fire's heat back into your house.
I'd use my fireplace every chance I get if I could do that. Maybe my furnace wouldn't need to run so much.
Well, that's the whole point. Hi, this is Keith Lair with Lair Fireplace and Patio, along with my niece Leslie, to tell you how a gas insert from Cozy Heat will give you the incentive to use your fireplace again. Cozy Heat gas fireplaces and inserts are made to crank out the heat with beauty and style.
Lair's is Denver's oldest, most trusted name in fireplaces. Family owned and operated since 1954.
We'll even give you a free in-home quote, including expert installation by our own certified in-house installers.
Find us on the web at lairfireplacepatio.com.
For top quality Cozy Heat fireplaces and inserts, it's Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's fireplace experts.
As days get shorter and roads get busier, fall brings more accidents. If you've been injured, Postman Law is here to help. No fees unless we win. Call 844-POSTMAN. Postman delivers. This is attorney advertising.
Hey, bro, weirdest thing is happening at the game. Every time I crack a Bud Light, we score a touchdown. I think I'm some kind of football prophet.
Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Stock up today. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Heads up, pros. Now's your chance to unlock deeper savings. The Home Depot's new Pro Extra Preferred pricing can help you save thousands on the products your business uses the most. But the current benefit ends November 15th. Don't miss out. Registration for the new program is free and easy. Just bring your tax ID or business or contractor's license to the Pro Desk. Register now to lock in the best wholesale prices before it's too late.
Hey guys, your boy Steve here today by my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house all cash and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Annuities, not advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at trajanwealth.com.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan's brought to you by Fitness Gallery, selling the world's finest fitness equipment.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver's Sports Station, 104.3 The Fan.
All right, so the Nuggets absolutely throttled the Pelicans last night. Oh, it's all right for sure. 122-88. They went on a 29-2 run in the third quarter. I was watching that game all annoyed right before half. Nuggets starters blow an 18-point lead. New Orleans gets it down to 6. I'm like, really, guys? Like, come on. It's the Pelicans. What are we doing? And then they come out in the third quarter, and they're like, oh, yeah, 29-2. We got that in our bag. Starters did not have to play much in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets absolutely cruised to get to 3-1. Could make a strong case they should be 4-0, but Steph Curry did Steph Curry things in that opener, particularly down the stretch. Anilo, your thoughts on the game last night and then kind of the Nuggets ceiling? Because, I think in the last few years we've been like, well, they're tired. It's been a grind to win a title. Yeah, just win 50 games, just get in the playoffs, see what happens. I'm not saying they're going to go pedal to the metal all year, but you could tell me this is a 55, 57, 58. Dare I even whisper it, 60-win basketball team? They look really good and really complete.
Yeah, and Nikola Jokic looks as good as ever. I mean, 4 games, 4 triple-doubles. It's like another night at the office for this guy. It's absolutely unbelievable. And Nuggets fans, please enjoy this moment because I was covering that team before Jokic. Actually, my first year covering the team was Jokic's rookie season where he barely played and the ascension started. I mean, I remember just those dreadful Nuggets teams, ugly seasons, ugly games, and now it just feels like the expectation every single night is for them to win and win big as they did last night against New Orleans, 122-88. And, I mean, you got to love what you've seen from the Nuggets so far this season. Cam Johnson dealing with a bit of an early season injury. He hasn't looked quite as good as maybe some people thought he would off the rip, but I don't have any questions about Cam Johnson, at least not yet. But I think you just love the dynamic that you've seen from the Nuggets, in particular, Cam Johnson aside, their new additions. Bruce Brown making an impact off the bench. Tim Hardaway Jr. draining a 3 here or there. Jonas Valanciunas truly looking like the answer for the Nuggets at the backup center position. Now, it is New Orleans. They did beat the Anthony Edwards-less Minnesota Timberwolves, which is still a good win considering what Minnesota has been to them the last couple of seasons. Let's see them do it against some quality teams here in the not-so-distant future.
Yeah, but the Nuggets have had that little bit of play to their level of the opponent the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And last night, they didn't do that. Like, last night, they are supposed to just roll the basketballs out and crush the Pelicans, and that's what they did. I mean, how many times have we felt like we've watched the Nuggets? I mean, think about last year. They lost to the Wizards twice.
Oh, I remember.
Right? Like, there was so many games where the Nuggets just kind of walk through things, and I think there's a couple things in play here. One, I called it at the time. People got mad, but I think it's looking more true than ever. I think Michael Malone's voice had grown stale in that locker room. I just do.
Yeah.
And David Adelman, I think, and I love Coach Malone, and he's a champion, and he always will be. And I think someday he'll come back to Denver, and we'll all give him a standing O at Ball Arena, and it'll be great. But I think stale was a fair word for Malone. And then 2, and Dante and I hit on this a little bit last night, Jamal Murray's in shape. He's skinny. Mm-hmm. He's explosive. The combination of they made a change at head coach that appears to have been the right call then and the right call now, plus Murray playing like Murray, plus Tenzer and Wallace had a great A++ offseason. It is the perfect storm for the Nuggets to win. I think 55 is kind of the low end of what they could win. I think they will win 55 to 60 games this year.
And I agree with you. And don't take this the wrong way. Like, I don't really care how many games they win, Will. Like, for me, it's about just getting the playoffs because I believe that, and they're going to get in the playoffs, right? But this was a big talking point that Jake and I went back and forth on the Mile High Hoops podcast of, I've seen the Nuggets win 50, plus games in a season. I've seen them be the 1 seed, right? All I care about right now is a championship. And I think the secret formula, the secret sauce, and what needs to happen for the Nuggets to do that is develop a bit of a lead early in the standings so you don't have to go all out the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season as we have seen the last few years, and make sure you're healthy and have momentum going into the playoffs. So yes, I would love 55 wins. I would love 60 wins. To me, that's all cream, though. The main vision is winning a championship for the team this year, and through the first 4 games, they look like a team that is primed and ready to do that. Jamal Murray, a big part of that. The bench dynamic, a big part of that. And, of course, Nikola Jokic doing Nikola Jokic things. So, really, outside of that funky loss to Golden State on opening night, you can't complain about anything with the Nuggets outside of the fact that they've done it against 3 mediocre teams with Minnesota not having AE.
All right, but hold on. I got to give you the same pushback I give people who tell me that the Avs being the 1 seed doesn't matter. Well,
Right.
when the Avs won the Cup, every series started at Ball Arena.
Right.
When the Nuggets won the title, every series started at Ball Arena.
Mm-hmm.
You just said you don't care about the 1 seed. I actually do. They had to play a Game 7 on the road last year that quickly went off the rails and fell apart. And I understand they were hurt and the roster wasn't as good and all that, but I would have felt a lot more confident if that Game 7 was in Denver.
Yeah.
And if you have to play Oklahoma City, most likely in a Game 7 this year, feel a heck of a lot better about it if it was in Denver.
I don't disagree with you, but I still think Denver loses that game last year, even if it is at Ball Arena.
They just beat them in Game 6 at Ball Arena the 2 nights before.
Right, but I tend to think that Denver's shortcomings in the playoffs last year were more about those injuries, were more frankly about just how primed and ready Oklahoma City was than it was about home court advantage versus not.
Yeah, but they also blew Games 4 and 5. Like, we've been through
with
that.
a shell of a roster.
I know, but like, let's not act like the Thunder just steamrolled through the Nuggets. There's an alternate universe where Denver wins that series. Absolutely, unequivocally, 100%. It was the day the Rockies fired Bud Black.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was bad juju that the Rockies are trying to hide by firing their manager in the fourth quarter of a Nuggets playoff game. And what happened? The Nuggets fell apart. I understand, before you text me, I understand the two things were not connected. But it just felt very Rockies of, we're going to try to hide this. And then we're all ticked off that the Nuggets are yay close to a 3-1 series lead and can't get the job done.
Yeah, but unlike the championship season, and I respect your opinion, like when you talked about they were the 1 seed, they did have the home court and whatnot, like I can lean on the fact that this team is battle-tested with their core. And I've been on record saying I don't think there's a single team in the NBA that the Nuggets should be afraid of, home, away, neutral site, whatever it might be. So, yeah, obviously, I'm not saying I don't want them to be the 1 seed. I don't want them to have home court advantage. I just think that there's other priorities that they should focus on as opposed to gassing out to get that 1 seed.
Well, then let me ask you this, because you mentioned the last couple weeks of the season, and I tend to agree with you. That's when the guys hit a little bit of a wall. I mean, the joke is always that March and April basketball in the NBA is not very high quality. If you and the Thunder are tied with 10 games to go, feels like we may have different philosophies on it. You may say, you know what, foot off the gas just a little bit. If OKC wants to go get the 1 seed, let them. Where I kind of would take the approach of you do have a deeper roster this year. You have a larger rotation that you can play. I mean, you can comfortably play 9-10 guys right now, at least in the regular season. We'll have to see in the playoffs. It'd be really hard. Like if you promised me that both teams had, I don't know, 50 and 25 records. So you got what, 7-8 games left at that point? To just not go for it and not just shove the chips all in.
And I think that's a different, like if you're within a game or two of each other for the 1 seed with 10 or 15 left to play, I think that obviously changes the conversation a little bit. I just think from where we start the season, yes, 1 seed, home court advantage throughout the playoffs is at the top of the priority list. I just don't think it's priority number 1 where it kind of felt that way in the championship
season.
Load
management's been a big topic recently. Boy. Sounds like you're A-okay with some load management going on for the Nuggets.
I wouldn't say, I'm not giving Jokic and Murray nights off necessarily, but I think like what you saw yesterday, right? Jokic only played, under 30 minutes in that game, and obviously it's against New Orleans, so you're able to kind of move some things around just because of the quality of the opponent. And again, it's not as much of a load management thing as it is with Kawhi Leonard taking game after game off in the middle of the year. It's more so like, let's not have to play Jokic 40-plus minutes a game in late March to get ready for the playoffs because we need to get this seed or whatever. You should be able to take care of business early in the year, which is one of David Adelman's big visions for this team this year is getting out to a hot start so they don't have to gas themselves out at the end of the season.
All right, that's fair. We'll have to see how it all shakes out, but I think this team is clearly their most dangerous team since 2023.
You and me both.
And I am looking forward to watching them play every single night because when it was the same core, it's like, well, it's the same core. I've seen this. Do I really need to tune into a Tuesday night against the Pelicans or Wednesday night, whatever last night was? I was locked into that basketball game. I think, other than they're playing opposite the Broncos, I think I'm going to be watching 75 to 80 Nuggets games in the regular season. And last year it was more like 55 to 60.
They feel
television dispute aside.
It's a very refreshing vibe around the team this year, right? Because last year and even the year prior kind of felt like more of the same. And just like the new additions to the team and just everything feels different about the Nuggets to a certain extent from the game that I've been to this year and obviously watching from afar and at practice. Excited to see where this season goes.
Well, it does kind of help when the GM and the head coach really don't like each other, and the owner says, you know what, I'm not going to fire one of you, I'm going to fire both of you.
What a disaster.
I mean, you talk about just changing vibes up. You fire what? 2 of the top 3 decision makers in your organization, that will get the players' attentions. All right, Drake Greenlaw spoke today for the first time since his suspension. What did the Broncos linebacker say about what the NFL explained to him? You'll hear on the other side.
With so much uncertainty at the quarterback position, why haven't Coach Prime and the Buffs turned to Julian Lewis yet?
I do not think this is a well-coached football team. I don't think Deion Sanders is some great coach. I think he's a motivator, a recruiter, and I don't trust Pat Shurmur. What if it's Juju who's like, maybe don't play me because you can burn your red shirt?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Every hockey player knows the secret to becoming a great skater is time on the ice. But rink time? It's tough to get, expensive, and so inconvenient. This winter, what if your kids could skate anytime they want, right in your own backyard? With Yard Rink, they can. In about an hour, you can transform your yard into an amazing outdoor rink. It's easy to set up and plays like a professional rink. Watch their hockey skills explode to the next level while they're having the time of their lives. Even Yard Rink ambassador Wayne Gretzky says he wishes he had a yard rink when he was a kid. Order today at yardrink.com and save hundreds by using code RADIO21. Nearly 300 sizes are available, starting at just $9.99. Plus, get 2 puck retention nets and your favorite NHL team logos free. That's YARDRINK.com. And save 21% by using code RADIO21. Give your kids more fun-filled ice time and help their hockey dreams come true.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Brian's headed to the basketball court, but he's sick of this check engine light. So he goes to AutoZone for the free Fix Finder service,
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
where a friendly AutoZoner reads the light in just a few minutes and gives him a detailed report.
No big, just a loose gas cap.
And gets him to the court with a tight gas cap and tighter defense. The free Fix Finder service at AutoZone. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-656-1551. That's 800-656-1551.
Dan Jacobs with Jacobs Law and 303 Law 4040. Did you know that I actually have some psychic abilities? Yep, had a new client come in the other day to get signed up, and she said, Dan, you know, they've already made me an offer. And I said, well, let me guess. It was $1,500. And her eyes got real big, and she said, Dan, how'd you know that? And I said, let me take another guess. When you said you weren't sure, they said, okay, we'll offer you the maximum amount allowed of like $3,500. The client couldn't believe what she was hearing. But let me let you know in a little secret. I'm not a psychic. I just know all of the insurance companies' dirty little tricks. They use these tricks to put pressure on you so they can get off the hook cheap. At 303 Law 4040, we're here to make sure that they play fair. We're going to make sure you get feeling better and the insurance companies pay what's right. Call us at any time. You can speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly. Save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. It's 303 Law 4040. That's 303 Law 4040.
Any jewelry store can sell you a diamond.
But there's only one family jeweler in Colorado that was literally built on them.
In fact, we've sold more diamonds to more couples for more years than any other jeweler in Denver. I'm Steve Williams.
I'm Dylan.
And I'm Shayna Williams. That's why we built Williams Jewelers of Inglewood, an entire store totally dedicated to celebrating your love.
All the world's top bridal designers, 10 times of certified loose diamonds.
And Denver's true diamond experts, like me, who will share their knowledge and passion and how to get the most diamond for your money, guaranteed.
So whether you're looking for the perfect diamond engagement ring,
or that second diamond celebrating a love of many years,
we have the perfect diamond for you.
That's why every day more couples say will you with Williams,
where Colorado shines.
Williams Jewelers, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
Williams Jewelers, the official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney. Tuesday afternoons on The Drive. And Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth. All season long. Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan. DenverSports.com and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, so my guy, Anilo Piro, was at Broncos today while I was over at the Avalanche. If you missed it, go check out our podcast, first 15 minutes of this show tonight. Be up here in an hour or so, breaking down the huge news of the Marty Necas extension. But we like to have you covered at Denver Sports, so I went to Family Sports, talked to Necas, McFarland, and Bednar, and you went down to Broncos, heard from the coordinators. I always like coordinator day because I like hearing Vance Joseph. I think he's the most interesting of the three. But fill us in on, you guys then went to the locker room and had really interesting interviews with both J.K. Dobbins and Dre Greenlaw as well.
Yeah, I mean, J.K. Dobbins talking about how he'd like to be a Bronco for life, essentially. You know, you and I talked about a potential contract extension a little bit earlier on in the program as well. But first time we've also heard from Dre Greenlaw. Well, we technically heard from him after the game against the Giants, but I don't think the suspension had been made public at that point yet. So the first post-suspension we've heard from Dre Greenlaw took full accountability, you know, talking about how I can't put my teammates in that position. I got to be better, this, that, the other, but hungry and ready to take on the Houston Texans. And our guy, Andrew Mason, I think it was the last question of the scrum, talked about, like, you ready to go? Like, how do you feel? And big smile on Dre Greenlaw's face, you know, essentially saying he's ready to get after it and play as much as he can on a bit of a snap count there in the first game against the Giants. So a big piece of the defense getting back, and frankly had a good time. It's hard to say getting back because I know he was suspended, but it's not like it's an injury. But you couple this with the fact that Surtain's not going to be out there, and you're going to need as many quality bodies on defense as you can get, and Dre Greenlaw is certainly at the top of that list.
Yeah, let's talk about how many snaps he could play. But first, I want you to hear from Dre about the explanation he got from the NFL for the suspension. We know it was a controversial one. He chased down an official and chewed him out. I think the league said verbally threatened. We see players and coaches chew out officials all the time.
Yep.
And they don't get suspended. So I don't know what Dre said, but he clearly said something he shouldn't have said. And here's what Dre Greenlaw said about that suspension explanation.
Honestly, they didn't tell me. We show clips or whatever, but they're gonna make their decision, and all you can do is just do what they tell you.
So they show clips. Well, the clip we saw, the one that everyone saw, is the viral one. To me, it looked like the referee Brad Allen made contact with Justin Strnad, sort of threw a shoulder into him, and Dre didn't like that. Everyone thought Dre was upset about the DPI on Riley Moss. I actually don't think that was the case. The Broncos had just won the game. The DPI was not going to be the story of the game. It was frustrating, don't get me wrong, but Denver still came back and won with a walk-off field goal. It would shock me if Dre Greenlaw cussed the official out for a flag that happened right before the wild celebration at Empower Field at Mile High. And then I think that was only 9 seconds, but I think Dre's telling the truth there, Nilo. I don't think the league really wants to get into the, he said, well, the ref said, you said this. They're just going to say, well, you can't chase the guy down. You can't chew him out. You're still suspended. And remember, he appealed it, and it got upheld.
Right, and I think that's exactly it, man. NFL, no fun league, all that kind of stuff as well. And I think it was simply just a heat-of-the-moment passion thing from Dre Greenlaw. I don't think there was any malicious intent or, looking for the referee to tell him his side of the story or whatever it might be. The Strnad, as you talked about with the bumping of the shoulder, whatever. I think it's obviously you're never going to win in that situation if you're a player or a coach. Like, let's just put it that way. So you probably shouldn't do it. Am I upset at Dre Greenlaw? No. Am I frustrated at the situation? Of course, because he's a key player. Thankfully, the Broncos were able to get the win without him against Dallas. But it's just one of those things that if you're a player or a coach in the heat of the moment, you just got to try to be a little bit smarter than that.
Yeah, and you're right. The league is always going to side with the official and with the referee because that's just what the league has to do. They can never make the players bigger than the guys that are dictating the rules on the field. And yes, Dre Greenlaw is significantly more famous and significantly more rich than Brad Allen. But the NFL is never going to admit that. The NFL is never going to say, well, our players can treat our refs like this. And again, we'll never get the audio. I would just be fascinated to know what he said in that 20-second altercation. I'm putting that in air quotes. That was so bad that the league said, yep, you got to sit on the sideline for that because Again, guys chew out refs all the time. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But the punishment to me didn't really fit the crime, if you will.
Yeah, and I think it's pure speculation. But, I mean, like, what? I don't think he said anything menacing towards him. And we don't have to.
Could have. They said verbally threatened.
Right. But
so I don't know
feel
what
like
that means.
You could use, like, an old school, jab, like calling someone a clown. Or something like that, and that would probably warrant a suspension as well. Like, I just think it's one of those. I think it's one of those things where you just don't cross the line with the NFL refs. You just don't do it.
Yeah, but
black and white. I agree with you. I think it's goofy.
I guarantee I could find a clip of Patrick Mahomes yelling at a ref. I don't remember Patrick Mahomes ever getting suspended for yelling at a ref.
He's the golden child.
He is the golden child, but how many times do you think Tom Brady chewed out refs in his career? And I don't even have to use guys that are that famous. Right?
It's soft, Will.
It's soft.
It's very soft. I think everybody in the world is in agreement with that, but I think, they won the game he wasn't playing with. He talked about after the game against the Giants how the altitude kind of whipped him into shape a little bit, so hopefully he used that extra week to get into shape and acclimate and get ready for the Texans, and hopefully this is all just water under the bridge.
Well, you mentioned his snap counts. He played 21 against the Giants. I know VJ Vance Joseph spoke a little bit today about, hey, they still got to get him back in game shape. What do you want to see? 40? 45? Like, what's a healthy number for Dre Greenlaw on Sunday, especially because he's the nicest guy in the world, and I always have to put that caveat in, but Alex Singleton's play has not been up to par this year. If it's a lot of Greenlaw and Stranad, I'd be fine with that. The problem is I think it's going to be a lot of Singleton with Greenlaw and a lot of Singleton with Stranad. I think those are your two best middle linebackers that should be on the field together. I'd like to see Dre Greenlaw double his snaps. Let's call it 42.
I think that's fair, and I think that range is probably between 35 and 40. We'll see how the game plays out, if it warrants more Dre Greenlaw or not. But, yeah, I think you want to see him close to double up.
Well, that would be nice, especially because this guy's got to be chomping at the bit to get out there.
He's ready.
I mean, was there an intensity when you guys spoke with him
For
today?
sure. Like a calm, tranquil he was in the moment, but you could tell, behind the eyes, when you get out there on Sunday, man, he's going to be ready to go.
Well, and Dre Greenlaw's, one of the most intimidating athletes I've ever seen or spoken to.
I would not want to
get
hit by him.
No,
not at all.
Not want to get hit by Dre Greenlaw. Well, hopefully he can play 40-ish snaps and the Broncos can take down the Texans this weekend. Really interesting day between Marty Necas, Dre Greenlaw, J.K. Dobbins, another big Nuggets win. A lot going on in Denver sports right now. Really fun time to be a fan. That'll do it for us. For Dante and Anilo, I'm Will. It's DST.
Listen up, Denver. Brandon Stokely needs your help.
We need a contest or some kind of bet to where we can
shave Cecil's head.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. It's time for it to go. It's time.
Better keep an eye on the scissors, boys. Denver Sports 104.3